Hi everyone, Barbara here today with another ColourArte video tutorial. I will be making an inspirational canvas using some chipboard die cuts, an 8x8 canvas, and ColourArte products, of course. Let me show you what I'm going to start with first. I have this 8x8 canvas from my local craft store. Then I have this pretty fantasy frame and flourishes laser cut chipboard from Gypsy Soul Laser Cuts. I used a couple of my Tim Holtz dies to first cut out a few of these garden leaves from chipboard. I cut portions of some of them from sections left in the chipboard. You never know if you will need them or not. Then I cut out this layered butterfly. It comes with a matching embossing folder, so I lined it up inside the folder and ran it through my machine again to get this great texture. Let's see how we can lay these out on the canvas. The first thing I want to do is cut the frame in half diagonally. This will require a bit of thought, but nothing complicated. Remember, if you make a mistake, it can always be covered up with some of our leaves, our flowers, or whatever other embellishments you may be using. Now you can see where some tweaking might be needed, so I used the extra flourish pieces to fit some better looking ends to the two cut ends of this top piece. I think this might be a little tight. Let's see if the butterfly will fit. No, it's looking like I might need a larger canvas. Let's try an 8x10 canvas. Yes, I think this will be much better and leave me some room for my inspirational quote. So let's get going. I want to make a smooth transition between these chipboard pieces used to finish off the ends, so I'm marking the join with a pencil. Then I cut off the extra piece of the chipboard from the frame itself so that my additional section will meet perfectly. I like to use a quick grab tacky glue to adhere my chipboard pieces to the canvas. Spread crackle paint through a stencil in a random fashion. I used an old credit card to help smooth out the top layer before removing the stencil. Always let crackle paste air dry for best results. Don't forget to add some of the crackle paint to the sides as well to give it a finished edge. Now that the crackle paint has dried and done its thing, let's gesso the chipboard before we begin adding color. I sometimes use a swirling motion with the paintbrush to remove the buildup of gesso in the crevices. Set the canvas aside to dry and go ahead and paint the chipboard die cuts with the gesso. I won't make you watch me paint all the pieces, and even if we don't use them all, it's okay to have them primed and ready for any project. I wanted a light color for the center of the canvas, so I chose Sunflower Vivid. I'm using a damp, mixed media type of brush that has fairly stiff bristles. This allows me to scrub the color into the cracks and crevices. Blend the color to the edges as far as it will go. Let this paint layer dry, and then repeat the process, this time using Jasmine Vivid, a damp brush, and the same scrubbing motion to blend the color around the edges towards the middle this time.
Don't forget to continue this color around to the sides.
I am going to use the True Metals Dragon Gold, which actually contains real metal. Brush on a layer of this gorgeous color to add a vintagey shimmer to the background. This is one of my favorite colors in the Vivid line. And of course, don't forget to do the sides. Next up is African Jade Vivid, and I'm going to apply it with a makeup sponge. By simply dabbing it here and there over the background, I will get a subtle color variation which will add interest to the background. The Solar Gold Vivid is another color that will add warmth and shimmer to your project. I am simply using the same makeup sponge and dabbing the color here and there over the background, paying particular attention to the edges of the canvas. Spritz some water onto a bit of China Black Vivid to make a wash and pick up the color onto a makeup sponge. Then lightly apply it to the edges of the canvas, removing the excess color with a damp towel or baby wipe. Darkening the edges like this not only gives it an aged look, but also helps frame it and draw the eye inward. Without adding any more color to the sponge, I next added a bit of the watery China Black that was left on it over the chipboard frame pieces to bring them out to the forefront.
Paint the leaves with Olive Vine Vivid. I began with a damp brush, but as the paint dried, I noticed I still had too much water in it. So the color dried very pastel, as you can see. I want it darker, so I gave them another coat of paint. Let the paint dry between coats. Otherwise, you could start with a completely dry brush instead if you prefer the deeper color. I still wanted a bit darker green, so I added another layer of Douglas Fir Vivid over these leaves. I only painted the broader leaves like this, saving the fern leaves for a bit of a different color change. The remainder of the leaves were done off camera so as not to bore you. I first painted the fern leaves with Olive Vine Vivid as before. After that layer dried, I then painted each fern leaf with Lemongrass Vivid. This gave them a really nice, warm, yellow-green tint. Set all of the leaves aside for now. I painted the butterfly with 2 coats of Bolivian Blue Vivid. I wanted a deep, dark, rich base color for it. I love the way these vivid paints react with the light, giving a beautiful luminescence depending on which way you're holding it. Next, I painted a layer of African Jade Vivid over the wings, concentrating on the debossed areas. Don't worry about getting the color on the embossed areas. It is all going to be covered later. Now add the Snapdragon Vivid to the center part of the wings. I used a wet brush to water down the color a bit as I applied it. You can use your finger to wipe away and blend the color towards the outer area of the wings. For a more natural look, use a dry brush technique to blend more of the African jade from the outer edges of the wings towards the center, feathering it where the two colors meet. I am going to use cut and dry foam from Ranger to highlight the wings. If you don't have any of this, you can use a blender tool or a makeup sponge. The best way to apply this is to pick up the China Black Vivid from a palette, swiping the excess off, and then carefully hitting the high spots on the wings. I like to use the gray side of the foam because it is harder and less likely to squish down into the crevices as I apply the paint. Just use a light dabbing motion as you apply the black to the embossed areas and reload the sponge as necessary.
Off camera, I stamped the sentiment with Versamark ink onto 2 strips of black chipboard and heat embossed them with gold embossing powder. Now I am laying my pieces out and I will glue them to the canvas with my quick grab tacky glue. Here are a few close-ups of my canvas. I hope you enjoyed my project today and that I may have inspired you to try these beautiful vivid paints from ColourArte. As always, I truly appreciate your stopping by, and if you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. I would also love for you to consider subscribing to my channel, and comments are always welcome. Thanks for watching, and remember, always take time to play.